Tatsuro Taira will be fighting this weekend on the UFC on ABC 5 card, Emmett versus Topuria against Kleydson Rodrigues, where Tatsuro Taira has shown in his first 3 fights that he is no one to mess with. Tatsuro Taira is an incredible prospect coming up in the flyweight division. 13-0, 23 years of age, and has shown some really dominant grappling, some really good transitions on the ground as well, and is kind of solid. Like he's a pretty decent fighter on the feet as well. It showed some real uniqueness on the feet with a good pace in general with his whole fight style. So just in general, I'm going to go over him as a prospect because this is a prospect spotlight, and I'll kind of go over his fight with Kleydson Rodrigues and how he can win that fight and how Kleydson Rodrigues can kind of take advantage of some of the weaknesses in general of Tatsuro Taira. So for Tatsuro Taira, I said, again, he's really good on the ground, really good grappler in general. His wrestling isn't great, but, well, I think it actually is great. It's not like an elite level towards where his grappling, his jiu-jitsu and submission skills are and transitions are on the ground, but it's definitely getting up there. You're definitely seeing it in more of his fights. Like, he's getting taken down, he's getting put in bad positions towards the end of rounds, but you can kind of see it towards his fights after that. He's really dominating those positions now. Like, you don't see him in those bad positions. He can get taken down, but in general, you see him use really good sweeps, really good trips in general in his fights. Really good offensive wrestling, and then when it gets to the ground, man, he is super dangerous. Even on the feet, the first fight against Carlos Candelario, he dropped him in the second round and just hopped right on his back and was able to get him a rear naked choke. Carlos Candelario tried to get off of him and even put like a little move that you saw in like the Paddy Pimblett fight, and I can't even think of it off the top of my head. I know there was a recent one as well where he just traps the arm in the rear naked choke there, and he was just destroying, I wouldn't say destroying, but he was dominating Carlos Candelario on the ground during that fight and showed some stand-up that probably needed to get worked on, and you kind of see him working on it as he is getting a little bit older and in more of his fights. Like, he's only 23 years old at this point right now, so he's definitely going to improve quite a bit in that CJ Vergara fight. It's even more impressive in that one. Got him to the ground and was able to just hit some crazy transitions. It was able to get an armbar finish, but got it out of a rear naked choke. If you're able to see this, like, look on, if you have ESPN Plus, Fight Pass, I don't know what they have on YouTube, but the transition from the rear naked choke he had on CJ Vergara and was able to get it into an armbar and finish the fight in the second round was absolutely insane. Looked incredible. And then he did something very similar in the last fight he had against Jesus Aguilar. Jesus Aguilar, smaller guy, stockier. I think he had a 62.5-inch reach. So he's not like the prototype, the best, like, even for flyweight. He's really small for flyweight, and just in general his arm length. But he got sweeped with a leg kick, and then got Aguilar jumped the guillotine. Tatsuro Taira was able to get out of that submission, get into mount, put in a triangle, kind of like Khabib, Justin Gaethje style, roll onto his back to get the triangle in. But Jesus Aguilar had like I think it was one of his hands like stuck in there, so there's still some breathing in there. But he was able to, because his hand was stuck, transition it into an armbar. So it was like an armbar triangle that he hit on him, but like he couldn't move at all. So he had to verbally tap to the ref at that point. And just some of these transitions that he's hitting on these guys are insane. On the feet, just going over it really quickly. He does start out a little slower, which a guy like Kleydson Rodrigues can definitely take advantage of. He does start a little bit slower. He seems very hittable in general, but his style seems more of, at least at this point, is that he's setting up his strikes to go for a takedown. So he's at a high pace level. He does throw a high kick, doesn't really put much into it, but it goes up there, and it definitely catches some of these guys off guard. He doesn't really set it up too greatly, but he just throws it up. Just trying to see if he can catch someone, not expecting it in general. But he's a very pacey fighter. He'll go in for takedowns, transition right over to the back really quickly, and it's just very, very clean stuff. And Tatsuro Taira is definitely someone not to mess with. Again, hittable, open for counters, which is a little bit of a worry with a guy like Kleydson Rodrigues. Hasn't really had a problem with the chin yet when he does get hit with the shots, but normally he's able to get the takedowns and go in for those shots. But Kleydson Rodrigues, this matchup coming up, is going to be a little bit of a step up here. This is a little bit more of a challenging fight for Tatsuro Taira just because of the power and the explosiveness of Kleydson Rodrigues in general. You saw that in Kleydson Rodrigues' last fight against Shannon Ross. He was able to go at him. I think he hit him with a body kick that really just ended the sequence. I believe he finished him in like a minute. Him with a body kick and basically just went at him. Did like a spinning butt punch to the like it wasn't even a punch, like a spinning butt hit to the face. Like he just spinned and just put his butt out and hit on. Like it's like a waist strap. I don't even know what it was, but he just went off on him and kept that high pace. And I feel like if he does that to Tatsuro Taira, Taira might be in some issues. But I think Tatsuro Taira, very dominant grappler, can go in there, go for a takedown, transition over to his back, and maybe get a submission here. Hold a very dominant position either on the ground or on the feet with taking his back, because he's really good at hitting a triangle. He's really good at getting the back. Like these transitions are so smooth. He's going to be a real problem for this flyweight division, especially a new flyweight division where you have guys like Steve Erceg, who just made his debut against David Dvorak. We don't know what he's necessarily like, because that's on short notice as well, super short notice. I guess we have a bunch of unproven, I don't want to say unproven, but we have a lot of guys coming up at flyweight. I think Tatsuro Taira has a really good chance at becoming champion at some point. I think he, at this point, is a little bit better of a prospect than Muhammad Mokaev at this point, because I think Muhammad Mokaev has gotten a lot of debut guys. He fought Cody Durden, got the knee on him and finished him there. But after that, Charles Johnson, couldn't really get much on him. You saw, I think, a couple other debut fights too. Philho, I want to say Philho, and then Gordon, and hasn't looked too impressive in those, even though I think he's gotten a finish in a couple of those as well. So hasn't looked too impressive with those. I think Tatsuro Taira has looked more impressive than Muhammad Mokaev, and I think Tatsuro Taira, again, definitely has a really good shot at getting a title at some point in the future. Only 23 years old, has so much time left. He can develop his stand-up, get better defensively in the wrestling department in general, because he can't get taken down. But again, his grappling, his submission skills are in another level, and I think he's going to be a really big problem for the flyweight division. So let me know what you guys think of Tatsuro Taira. Let me know what you think of him as a fighter, and I'll see you guys next time.